Hello and welcome. As the light fades and the world settles into a quieter rhythm, I invite you to set aside the solid ground beneath you. Tonight, we will not walk through forests or fields. Instead, we will feel the gentle, rolling motion of the sea. We will hear the creak of oak and the whisper of wind in a great square sail. We are going on a long journey, not as raiders or kings, but as one of the crew. Tonight, we will share a sailor's life on a Viking longship. Forget, for a moment, the dramatic tales of sudden raids and burning monasteries. Those were flashes of lightning in a long, slow summer. Our story is about the clouds that gather before the storm, and the long, patient journey they make across the sky. This is the story of the sea road itself, of salt spray and stiff backs, of shared songs and cold meals, of navigating by stars on a vast, dark carpet of water. So settle in. Let your breathing find a slow and steady pace, and let us climb aboard the Drakkar, the dragon ship, as it rests at dawn, ready to slip its moorings. Imagine the first pale light of a Nordic dawn. It is cold. The air is sharp with the smell of pine from the forests, wet earth from the shore, and the undeniable, deep scent of the sea. You are not in a village now. You are on a wooden shore, a nost, a shipshed. Before you pull up onto the log rollers is your home for the coming weeks or months. The longship. In this soft light, let us look at her. She is not a bulky, wallowing tub. She is long, sleek, and low to the water, like a wolf or a serpent. Her hull is made of overlapping oak planks, clenched together with iron rivets. This is the clinker-built way. It makes her flexible. She can bend with the waves, not fight against them. At the front, a carved dragon's head might gaze out with empty eyes, soon to be mounted. For now, she is just a beautiful, powerful creature, sleeping on the beach. The crew, perhaps 30 men, begins to gather. There is little talk. The work is known. You take your place, your hands finding familiar grips on the smooth wood. With a deep, collective groan from the men and a louder groan from the logs, you push. The ship moves, inch by inch, down the rollers and into the cold, waiting water. She floats, suddenly alive, bobbing gently. This is the first moment. The land releases its grip. You are now in the domain of Njord, the god of the sea. You step aboard. The deck is not cluttered. It is an open space with planks laid across the rowing benches. Below your feet, in the shallow belly of the ship, is ballast, stones for weight, and all the supplies for the journey. There are no cabins, no rooms. The entire world, for you now, is this open wooden shell, about as long as 4 modern cars parked end to end. You stow your personal sea chest under your bench. It holds your extra clothes, your tools, perhaps a keepsake. It is your only piece of private space in the wide, public world of the ocean. With a final shout to those on shore, the oars are run out. These are not small paddles. They are long, heavy spruce oars, each handled by one man. You find your huss, your designated spot on the bench. The order is given. You dip your oar into the Miracom fjord water, and with a deep, unified pull, the ship begins to glide. The only sounds are the splash of oars, the creak of wood, and the rhythmic breath of the crew. The journey has begun, not with a roar, but with a steady, beating heart of effort. Once beyond the sheltered fjord, the true work finds its rhythm. If the wind is against you or there is no wind at all, you row. This is the core of the early day. Imagine the feel of it. Your bench is not padded. It is hard oak. Your feet brace against a timber. The oar is smooth where your hands grip, worn by countless journeys. You learn to row with your whole body. A push with the legs, a lean back, a pull with the arms. It is a dance of strain and release. Pull, breathe. Lift, slide forward. Dip, pull, breathe. The sea is not always kind. Sometimes it is glassy and calm, and the work is hot under the sun, muscles burning with a steady fire. Sometimes a chop kicks up, and cold salt spray crashes over the side, soaking you to the skin. The boat climbs a wave, pauses at the crest for a dizzying moment where you see the endless gray-green expanse, then slides down the other side. You row on. There is a rhythm to this life that goes deeper than the oar strokes. Time is marked by the shift of the sun, by the call for a rest, by the turn of the men on the benches. You do not row all day without stop. The crew is divided, so some row while others bail water, mend gear, or rest. But the motion of the ship is constant. It becomes a part of you. Even when you sleep, later you will feel the rise and fall in your dreams. To break the monotony, songs are sung. Not loud, shouting chants, but often low, rhythmic songs that match the stroke. Stories are told, line by line, passed down the boat. Jokes are made, often about the land, about food, about the gods. This shared effort, this common rhythm of ache and breath, forges a bond as strong as the iron rivets in the hull. You are not just 30 men in a boat. You are one crew, one entity moving across the water. Then, a welcome call comes from the rear, from the steeramar, the helmsman. Wind comes from a good quarter. The rowing stops, oars are shipped inboard, dripping. Now, a different kind of work begins. The great, square sail, woven from heavy wool, is unfurled. It is a massive thing, often dyed with red or stripes to show the owner's power. It is raised on the tall, single mast, which is stepped into a massive block of oak called the charinga, the old woman. The ropes, the veer, are tightened. The sail catches the wind with a deep, satisfying thump. And suddenly the world changes. The exhausting grind of rowing ceases. The ship comes alive in a new way. She leans ever so slightly. The water begins to hiss and chuckle along her hull, a faster, happier sound than the splash of oars. This is sailing. This is where the ship truly becomes what she was made to be, a creature of the wind. The helmsman now holds the most important job. He grips the great styri, the steering oar, mounted on the right side of the stern, the starboard side. He does not have a compass. He has the sun by day. He knows the Lyre's-Jarna, the leading star we call Polaris, by night. He reads the color of the water, the flight of birds, and the smell of the air. He knows that certain cloud formations mean land is near. He has a mental map of sea currents and landmarks, passed down from his father and his father before him. His knowledge is the most precious cargo on the ship. You, now free from the oar, might take a turn bailing. No ship is perfectly dry. Water seeps in and rain falls. So you take the bailing bucket, and you scoop in a steady, mindless rhythm, tossing the water back to the sea. Or you might check the lashings on the cargo, or work on a piece of gear with your knife. But there is also time now to simply sit, to watch the endless, hypnotic pattern of the waves, to feel the wind on your face. This is a sailor's quiet reward. What do you eat on this wooden world? The food is simple, hard, and designed to last. There is no fire on a longship. It is far too dangerous. So everything is eaten cold, preserved, or dried. Your main food is likely hardtack or a dense, flat bread made from barley or rye. It is so hard you must soak it in water or broth to eat it. There is dried, salted fish, cod, or herring that tastes strongly of the sea and salt. There might be strips of dried, smoked meat. For fat, there is butter or cheese stored in wooden tubs. You drink water, beer, or bjor, a weak, sweet mead, from leather skins or wooden casks. The beer is not strong, but it is safer than water that may have gone stale in the cask. A meal is not a grand event. It is a necessary pause. The men gather in small groups. The food is passed. You sit on the deck or your sea chest, your back against the sheerstrake. You chew slowly on the tough fish and hard bread. You might share a story of home, of a good harvest, or of another voyage. The taste is not exciting, but it is filling. It is fuel just as the wind is fuel for the sail. And when your watch is done, and the night settles in, how do you sleep? There is no soft bed. You take your woolen cloak or a sealskin blanket. You find a space on the deck, perhaps under the rowing benches, for a little shelter. You curl up on the hard planks, using your sea chest as a pillow. The ship moves beneath you. The sounds are the wind in the rigging, the water on the hull, the snores and murmurs of the other men. You are cold, often damp, and always a little uncomfortable. But exhaustion from the sea air and the labor is a powerful thing. You sleep deeply, rocked by the same sea you are crossing. Life on the longship is also a life of small tasks of maintenance and care. A ship is a living thing of wood and rope, and it needs constant attention. You might spend an hour with a pot of sticky tar, smearing it into the seams between the planks to keep them watertight. This is bikja. The smell is sharp and strong. You use a small hammer to tap the iron rivets, checking for any that have loosened with the flexing of the hull. You work with your knife, whittling a new toggle for a rope or carving a small toy for a child back home. Your personal possessions are few, but you care for them. You might rub whale oil into your leather shoes to keep them supple. You sharpen your belt knife on a small whetstone. You check the stitching on your woolen tunic, mending a small tear with a bone needle and thread. These small, repetitive actions are peaceful. They require focus but not deep thought. They are a way to care for your world and yourself. They pass the time in a gentle, productive way. In this open boat with the vastness of the ocean all around, these tiny acts of order are a comfort. They are a way of saying, here, in this small space, I have some control. Days blend into each other, marked by sunrises and sunsets. Then, one afternoon, a change comes. A sailor high up on the mast, acting as a lookout, calls out. He has seen birds, not the open ocean gulls, but land birds. Later, someone sniffs the air. Is that the faint, sweet smell of pine smoke? Or the rich, damp smell of soil? Land is near. The mood on the ship shifts, a quiet hum of anticipation. The helmsman adjusts course. As evening falls, the decision is made. They will not risk a strange coast in the dark. The sail is lowered. The sea anchor, a large leather bag, is thrown out to slow the ship's drift. The crew settles in for one last night at sea, close to their goal. This night feels different. The talk is softer, more focused. Weapons that have been stored away are quietly checked. Axes and swords are given a final polish with an oily rag. Plans are discussed in low voices. Are they here to trade? To find a new place to settle? The purpose of the voyage, which faded into the background during the long passage, now comes to the front of the mind. You lie on the deck, looking at the stars. The ache in your muscles is familiar now. The smell of tar and salt and wet wool is the smell of your life. You think of the solid ground you will walk on tomorrow. Feels like a strange idea. Your body has learned the constant motion of the sea. For a moment, you almost miss the simple, clear purpose of the journey itself: to sail. Tomorrow will bring new work, new challenges. But tonight, you are still a sailor on the whale road, suspended between one world and the next. Our journey does not end with the raid or the trading. Let us imagine a different return. The ship is heavy now with traded goods, bolts of fine cloth, sacks of grain, silver, and perhaps thralls. Or maybe it carries only the crew, weary and homesick, returning from a season of exploration. The sight of your home fjord is a deep relief. You know the shape of the mountains, the smell of the home fires. You row the ship, for the last time, up onto the familiar beach. The work of unloading begins, but it is happy work. Women and children come down to the shore, their faces breaking into smiles. You step onto the land, and a funny thing happens. The ground feels wrong. It is too still, too solid. You walk with a slight roll, as if you are still on the waves. This is the sea legs finding their land legs again. It will take a day or two to fade. You take your sea chest and walk up the path to your longhouse. The world is suddenly rich with smells. Baking bread, steaming stew, the earthy scent of animals. The sounds are different too. Children laughing, dogs barking, the crackle of a fire. It is loud and warm and wonderfully still. You sit by the fire, and your family asks about the journey. You tell them of the great storm you survived, of the strange lands you saw. But in your mind, you are also remembering the quiet moments. The endless horizon at sunset, the shared song during a hard row, the feeling of the ship running free before the wind. You have been part of something vast and ancient. You have followed the path of Njord across his domain, and you have returned. As our own night grows quiet, let us imagine the longship pulled up on a peaceful shore, empty now, resting. The dragon head is removed, so its spirit does not frighten the land spirits. The story of the Viking is so often told as a footprint left in the sand of a foreign beach, sudden, deep, and shocking. But for every footprint there were 1,000 waves, 1,000 or strokes, 1,000 nights of sleeping under the stars on a heaving deck. The sailor was not just a warrior. He was a rower, a wind reader, a rope mender. His world was defined by rhythm, weather, and the strength of his community. It was a life of immense hardship, but also of profound simplicity. There was only the ship, the sea, the sky, and the men beside you. So tonight, if you close your eyes, try to feel that gentle, rocking rhythm. Not of storm, but of a steady, quiet sea. Hear the soft lap of water on a wooden hull. See the vast, star-filled sky arching over an endless, dark water. It is a lonely view, but also a peaceful one. He was a man, leaving one shore behind to find another, with only his courage, his skill, and his trust in the timbers beneath his feet to guide him. Thank you for sailing on this quiet journey tonight. Wherever you are, I hope you feel safe and anchored and ready for a restful sleep. May your dreams be gentle and your night as calm as a sheltered fjord. Good night.